Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 3 on week 8 of our Unit 3 animal stories. We've been working on editing and revising our animal stories to publish them into our short story collection. So this week we've kind of been using that narrative rubric to help us figure out what all we need to make sure we have in our stories. And we've also been using it to score stories that we've read, right? So Monday and Tuesday we focused on Chicken Little. I have a new story we're going to focus on today. But before we get to the story, I want to review the rubric with you guys, okay? So the rubric has 7 points on it. That's what we want to have the proficient answer. So the first point, my story starts with a beginning that introduces my character and setting. Second point, it includes details to describe the actions, thoughts, and feelings of my characters. Third point, my story includes a problem and a solution. Fourth, my story has a clear sequence of events. The fifth point would be I use linking language to show the order of events. Sixth would be I include an ending to my story. And seventh would be that my story follows the rules of the genre, okay? So on Chicken Little, I said that our story scored a 5 out of 7 because I felt that there was not really a clear idea on what their thoughts and feelings were, and that the problem and solution wasn't very clear either, because I felt like the problem that Chicken Little had really wasn't ever solved, right? Because Foxy Loxy kind of tricked them and kind of prevented them from going to talk to the king. So I don't know what you guys felt like it scored, but I had felt like it scored a 5. So I want us to think about all these things while I read the next story that I have for you guys, okay? So this is another one from the from Epic that I have for you guys called Three Hens and a Peacock, written by Lester Lemonack and illustrated by Henry Cole. Things were quiet on Tucker's farm. The cows chewed their cud. The hens ducked and pecked and laid their eggs. The old hound stretched out on the porch, watching and listening. Once in a while, someone would stop to buy tomatoes or corn, perhaps a quart of milk. Nothing unusual happened there until the peacock showed up. The cows and hens and the old hound kept right on doing what they'd always done. But that peacock had never lived on a farm. He had no idea what to do. So he spread his fancy feathers and set to shrieking. Eventually, the peacock wandered down the road. When cars whizzed by, he shook his feathers and cried out in his loudest voice. Of course, folks stopped for a closer look. Day after day, more folks stopped to admire the peacock, and they all bought tomatoes, corn, eggs, and milk. Business on the Tucker's farm was booming. Everyone seemed happy to have visitors stopping by. But trouble was brewing in the hen house. The hens were squawking and clucking and flapping their wings. We do all the work around here. I'd like to see that peacock lay one single egg. Exactly. He struts around screaming. I suppose fancy feathers are more important than laying eggs. That lazy peacock gets all the attention and we do all the work. We can kind of tell looking at the peacock right there. We don't think he really liked hearing that, right? The peacock had heard every word. For days he moped about, moaning and groaning. I wish I could be more useful around here. Huh, clucked one hen, and the others ruffled their feathers. The old hound stretched and slowly raised his head. Why not let the peacock stay here to be useful while you hens take the glamorous job down by the road? The three hens began clucking to one another. What a wonderful plan! Yes, it's a fabulous idea. Oh, ladies, we simply must fancy up our feathers tonight, and nothing but our brightest beads, spangles, and bows. We'll stop traffic for sure. Why, you girls know I can strut with the best of them. The peacock perked up. Let's do it, he declared. Tomorrow I'll stay here, sit on a nest, and cluck. And then we'll get all gussied up, said the hens. We'll be so glamorous. At sunrise the next morning, the hen strutted down to the road. The peacock marched right into the hen house and poked his head inside. The hens flocked by the road, waiting for a car. When they saw one approaching, they clucked and squawked and flapped their wings in a flurry of feathers, but every car whizzed right on by. The peacock sucked in his tummy and wiggled from left to right, trying to squeeze through the tiny henhouse door. His front half was in, but his back half was out. Down by the road, those hens tried every chicken trick they knew. Still, no car stopped. Finally, the peacock made it into the henhouse. He held his breath and pushed with all his might, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not lay a single egg, not once. The old hound stretched out on the porch, watching and listening. "What's that peacock doing in the henhouse?" asked Farmer Tucker. "Who knows?" said Miss Tucker. "And what are those hens doing down by the road? Not a one of them is up here laying eggs." "Well, the way things are going, we aren't likely to have anyone buying eggs today," said Farmer Tucker. "We need that peacock down there stopping cars." When the peacock heard that, he smiled the biggest smile you ever saw on a bird's beak. "I am helping," he thought. He squirmed back and forth until he popped out of the cramped hen house, and then he trotted off to find the hens. The exhausted hens were all clucked out. Every feather was out of place. What a day! We couldn't get one car to stop. It's true. Why, most of them didn't even slow down. The peacock met the hens as they trudged up the road. "I can tell you, I'm no good at laying eggs," he said. I'm just not meant for it." One hen nodded. "I put on my stellar strut, and even I couldn't stop a single car. I have to hand it to you, Fancy Feathers. Your job is harder than it looks." The other hens agreed, and the peacock looked relieved. So the hens marched back to the hen house, and the peacock strutted down to the road. The old hound stretched out on the porch, watching and listening, and things were quiet again on the Tuckers' farm. All right, so let's think about that rubric. That was a really good story. So, when we think about, did it clearly introduce the characters and setting? I feel like they got the point. They told us that they were on the Tucker's farm. We learned about the main character was the peacock, and then we learned about the hens and the hound. So we did get a clear introduction to the characters and the setting. So I think that we got that point. Did it use details to describe the actions, thoughts, and feelings of the characters? Yes, we knew exactly how the hens felt and how the peacock felt. We knew that the peacock felt like he wasn't being of any use and he felt bad and he didn't want to be not useful. And we knew that the hens felt like they were doing all the work and that his job was so easy. And we also knew that the hound just wanted everybody to be quiet, right? My story includes a problem and solution. Yes, the problem was that the hens felt like they were doing everything, and the peacock felt like he wasn't doing enough. The solution was they traded places and they kind of walked a mile in each other's shoes. So I definitely think that that story earned that point. My story has a clear sequence of events. Yes, we knew exactly what was happening. It was clear what order it was. There was no confusion to the story. It had a clear beginning, middle, and end. Did it use linking language to show the order of events? Yes. Did it include an ending to the story? Yes. We learned that after all of that, that everything was quiet on the farm again and the hound could stretch out and enjoy his peace and quiet, right? And the story follows the rules of the genre, right? It was fiction. It had the main characters as animals. They were kind of true to their characters, so it's kind of realistic in that way. So I feel like that story earned all 7 points. I thought that was a great story, and I really liked how they kind of taught us a lesson in there also about how, maybe you should walk a mile in someone else's shoes before you judge what you think they're going through, right? Because sometimes we look at others and we think that they've got it so easy, but then when we try and do their job, we realize it's not as easy as it looks, right? So I felt like that story did a really good job and probably even earned some extra points if I could give it extra points because it did give us such a good lesson in it. So, did you guys think the story scored all 7 points? Why or why not? Talk to your home learning coach about it. You can tell them what you think of it. How do you think the author could change his story to make it more interesting, better, fun to read, or maybe earn more points? I really didn't feel like there was much that the author would need to change on that. I felt like we had a pretty clear message. It was very interesting. It was a good story. It was earning all the points that it could possibly get. So I feel like there's nothing that the author could change, but there might be some things that you think that the author should change. So share that with your home learning coach. And today, whenever you're working in your writer's workshop, kind of start thinking about how your story matches up to that rubric. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow.